Before we get started in today's Slow Stitch Saturday, I would like to thank these people for their comments in my last video, which was a quick tip Thursday on how I get organized for my Christmas journals. And Carol Powers had the best idea. Remember, I showed you how I have all of my Christmas stuff in my storage craft room on shelves? She said she puts it in clear plastic totes. And because you only pull it out, what, 6 weeks out of the entire year? So why am I taking up so much shelf space in my craft room for my Christmas stuff? So when I put away my stuff this year, it's going to go into some big totes that I already have in my garage that are empty. And so then I will be able to have more shelf space for more things besides Christmas. But anyway, thank you, Carol. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Slow Stitch Saturday. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm putting away my vessel that I'm working for my daughter because I want to do some slow stitching for my December daily. Pull out my Christmas things. And take a look at this gorgeous fabric here. This fabric is from Rachel over at Roxy Creations. So you guys go over there right away and get yourself some of this fabric. This is the linen here. And you can see it's a big piece. And the reason is you guys know I was recently in Italy and visited Rachel. And she had all of the fabric in bolts on Lulu's bed. And this had not been in her store yet. She hadn't listed it yet, but she had it in. And I said, "Oh, Rachel, I want some of that fabric." And I said, "Can I buy some now?" And she said, "Yes." So, I mean, look at this fabric. Just stunning. So I'm going to use some of these pieces to put a slow stitch piece on my December daily. Now I have two books that I'm going to use. One is going to be a December daily for me. And look at that pretty green. Won't it go with some of these greens here just beautifully? It's just the covers. And I have another one. And I am making this second one for somebody I haven't met yet, but I consider her a dear friend. And you know who you are. So I'm making her a December daily. So let me stop the camera and cut out a few pieces. The other thing I want to mention is when I started this series for Slow Stitch Saturday, many of my subscribers said, "I've never slow stitched. I don't know how to do it. But I'm enjoying the series. I'm enjoying watching you." So this is for you. Pull out a needle and thread. Pull out some Christmas fabric, whatever it may be, an old book, and let's stitch along together and cover some books. So let me kind of cut some down, pull out what I want to use, and I'll be right back with you guys. So I have cut down a bunch of pieces of fabric that I think I want to use. However, I don't want to glue this fabric right onto the book. So I want to do a little bit of stitching with whatever element I pull off of this linen fabric. I want to put it on this fabric. Now what I have done is I'm starting to pull together. Let me just rip this. I'm starting to pull together some slow stitch packs for you guys. Boy, this is such a long tablecloth. I bought this tablecloth in France, and it's massive. Look at how big it is. And I have been able to pull off 36 12-inch by 12-inch pieces of this fabric for you guys to be able to stitch on. I'm going to just pull off a few of these strings. And because I love the color of this book, I don't want to cover the entire thing. So I want to definitely cover this and that. So I may have to put something there, but I love the way this green color is. So let's say I want it to be about there. So let's just tear that down. So I'm going to cut it. Okay. And so that will go on there. You'll still see a little bit of that gold up there. And let's see here. How do I want to do this? Because I don't want to cover too much up. And so then let's just do this. Let's just cut this like this. And that's about half. So that will be glued on there. And then I can even bring down a small piece here if I need to. Now I'm going to bring in the other book and let's just see how this will be. And I think that's perfect there too. So I've got my two pieces that I want to slow stitch on. Now let's pull off the elements from this beautiful fabric from Rachel and decide what I'm going to stitch on here. Now, I was just watching Rachel's video of her slow stitching a cover, and she pulled out this thread, and I happened to be with her in Australia when she bought it, so I'm so excited that I also have that, Rachel. Now, I love this image. I absolutely love it. So it's got to be able to fit on here. And I think just these little kids right here is perfect. Oops. Hang on one second. I'm going to put you on hold because I have to go find my fabric scissors. Well, when I went to go get my scissors, I forgot to turn on the camera. And I just started cutting my elements and putting them together. But I guess you guys really don't need to see me do that. what I ended up doing, remember I had the big piece of the tablecloth, and when I brought it over here to the book, I thought, well, there needs to be a little bit here too. So I just did a little bit of stitching to where I've got a little bit on both sides, the front and the back of the book. And then I just added a little bit of lace, some more trim, and what have you. Now, this is not done. I still will need to do probably some French knots through here with some red threads, and I don't know what else, but I apologize for saying I was going to get my scissors and then I come back and it's all stitched up, and then I was ready to start on this one and I did the same thing. I added an additional piece of that linen tablecloth to this piece, and then I have it ready to go. And I may add some things down here. I'm still not quite sure how it's going to completely go, but let's carry on now. So this is what I do. I just do some really small stitches to tack it down after I've decided the composition. So that's the one. And then the other one is here, and I've not done any stitches yet. I've just pinned it down where I think I want everything to go. And I'm just gonna start stitching. So what you mainly want to do is you come up, and your first stitch you want to be small. So small, but then you're going to come through to the other side with a longer stitch. And the reason for that is this first stitch here can hardly be seen, and this one back here is, you know, you're not going to see it. So then again, a small little stitch, and then I come over quite a distance and do a larger stitch. So I have a funny story to tell you guys, and it's tattling on myself. So, you know, recently, and if I have time, I will put in some video of, you know, some more video of my trip. But, you know, Vern from Triple V Vintage and I went to France, Italy, France, and Spain. And I don't know why I was thinking this, but as we were driving through France, you go through a lot of tunnels, and it just seems like every few miles there's another tunnel, and over the tunnel is, of course, the trees, the greenery, the grasses and stuff like that. Well, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but I said to Vern after, and I said it with all seriousness, I mean, where my head was, I don't know. But I said to her, I said, well, Vern, I'm confused. I said, how did they get all of that dirt and trees and grass over on top of those tunnels. And she's like, what? You know, because she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, yeah, see, the tunnel, the big tunnel, we're going through the tunnel, and over the tunnel is trees and grass and moss and, all kinds of things that are growing, bushes and what have you. And I said, how did they get that all up there? That was a lot of work. She said, Juanette, they dug through the mountain. That was already there. They just tunneled through the mountain, and they didn't have to bring any dirt in or plant any trees or anything like that. And it dawned on me so fast, like, oh my gosh, that was such a stupid thing to think of. But then I said, after a little while, I said, well, okay, Vern, now you have to cut me a little bit of slack here. Because remember, I live in Arizona, and we're completely flat. There, where I live down in the desert, there's basically no mountains, and we don't have tunnels. And if we do have a tunnel, there is a tunnel on I-10, the interstate. I said, it's all concrete over the top. So we don't dig through tunnels. And I'm going to turn this around because I go from right to left. I said, so you got to cut me a little slack there. But we laughed and laughed and laughed about that, because she was like, and then she said, I'm pretty scared right now because you're the one driving. You're at the wheel. And you said something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So crazy. We had tons of laughs all along the way. I don't know. It was a great trip. So as I finished stitching this up, and I've just got a little bit of lace here. I've got, like I said, a lot of Rachel's fabrics. I think that's a doily I got in Italy. But I just do really small stitches and then a big stitch. And that's just to tack everything down. And then I can come back later on and decide, do I want to do decorative stitches? What all do I want to do with it? So, yeah. Anyway, so every time you guys are driving through and you see a tunnel, you think of me and the silliness of me thinking, how did they get all that stuff up there over that tunnel? Oh my gosh. Sometimes I surprise myself with how, I don't know. And I'm a smart gal. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, obviously I wasn't thinking. Oh, heavens. So I'm going to just continue sewing here for a little bit. I'm going to put the camera on hold. I've got a notebook here with all kinds of notes that I took on our trip. And I'll see if I can come up with another story to tell you guys. Maybe I'll have a story about Vern and the way maybe something silly she said or did, but I'll be back in just a second. Here are a couple of pictures of my trip to France. Okay, I have another story, but this was kind of both of us that messed up. So we're in Aix-en-Provence in France, and we are visiting an old chapel, an old church. And Vern and I are walking around, and we come to an area where there's like a courtyard. And so there was a bunch of people ahead of us that walked through this courtyard. And so we followed them. Well, then this lady locked the door behind us. And then she's speaking French to everyone. And we realized we had accidentally got in line with a private tour group, and the lady's just going on and on in French, explaining all about the architecture and the people. The tour group was, I would say, maybe 20 people, but they knew we were not part of their group. And we started getting dirty looks. But we were locked out, and we didn't want to interrupt the lady to tell her, let us out. We're not part of this group. And I'm telling you, we were getting some looks, and Vern and I are like, we're kind of stepping off way to the side because we wanted, the people that actually paid for that tour, we wanted them to be able to hear. So we're way back in the back, and we're like, well, what do we do? What do we do? I don't know what to do. And so, we were there maybe, 20 minutes to a half an hour. Oh my gosh, as soon as that lady unlocked that gate and let people out, we bolted. We bolted for the door. We're like, oh shoot, Oh gosh, we didn't do it on purpose. Here's a picture of the cathedral we were in and the courtyard, and a little bit of a film clip of us crashing that tour.
Alors après, ici, on va voir un berger, comme je vous disais. On va voir un berger, tout barbu, une petite brebis au bout du bâton. Voilà, le salut est annoncé au berger en premier. Vous arrivez un peu à voir. Alors donc, on a vu la naissance du Christ, et sur ce versant, regardez le berger là.
Oh. So anyway, you just keep doing what I am doing here, just small little stitches and then big stitches, just to tack your decorative fabric down to whatever you're going to glue to your book. Ouch, I just stuck myself. I think this is just a piece of thread. So just keep doing that. And yeah. So I'm not sure if I told you guys this yet, but you know I love to travel. Well, I have already booked another trip. This time is to Scotland. I've never been to Scotland, and it's for a week. But if I'm going to fly that far of a distance, I don't want to just spend all that money for just a week. So I'm looking at also going to Norway. I've not been there yet. So I've been doing some research. Ooh, that fell out. I got to fix that. Research about adding that on to the trip. The only thing is, the trip I'm interested in is an additional 2 weeks, and that would mean I would be gone for 3 weeks. Well, it's not really a big deal because I am retired, and you know, my son lives with me, so he can be here to watch Fiona. So I don't know, we'll see, but anyway, I'm thinking about that. So anyway, I need to thread up a new piece of thread, and I will do that, and then I'll be back. So for like all of my projects I do, I will sleep on this tonight, think about it, come back fresh in the morning, take a look at it, and see if there's anything else I want to add to either one of these before I adhere them to the book. So, thank you so much for joining me for this Slow Stitch Saturday combination making a journal, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks, and bye-bye.